On the morning of December 1st, 1948, a man was found slumped against the seawall on Somerton Beach, Australia. At first glance, it looked like he had simply fallen asleep, dressed in a sharp suit with polished shoes. But as authorities approached, they realized something chilling. He was dead, and nobody knew who he was. What made this case truly strange was that the man had no identification on him. No wallet, no driver's license, not even labels on his clothing. It was as if someone had deliberately erased his identity. The only clue? A tiny, tightly rolled scrap of paper tucked in his pocket with two mysterious words. Tamam Shud. Tamam Shud is a Persian phrase meaning "it is finished." It came from an old poetry book, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection of verses about fate, death, and the mysteries of life. But how did this phrase end up in the dead man's pocket? Even stranger, when investigators found the actual book it came from, they discovered a secret code scrawled on the last page. Experts and intelligence agencies worldwide analyzed the jumbled letters and symbols in the book, suspecting it might be a spy code. Yet decades later, no one has cracked it. Theories exploded. Was he a Cold War spy? A government operative? A man who knew too much? The autopsy revealed something even more shocking. The Somerton man had no obvious cause of death. No signs of struggle, no gunshot wounds, no knife marks. His stomach showed signs of poisoning, yet forensic experts couldn't find traces of any known toxin. This only deepened the theory that he had been assassinated by professionals, using a poison so advanced it left no trace. Weeks later, authorities found an unclaimed suitcase at a railway station locker, its contents matching the man's clothes. But just like before, every label had been removed. There was nothing to identify him. The suitcase only added to the mystery. Was he planning to leave? Or had someone left it behind to throw investigators off? As the case grew more bizarre, a fresh lead emerged. A local woman named Jo Thompson. When she was shown a photo of the dead man, she reportedly turned pale and nearly fainted. But she denied knowing him. Investigators later discovered that she had once owned a copy of the same poetry book, and the phone number found inside it was linked to her home. Could she have been hiding something? One theory suggests that the Somerton man was romantically involved with Jo Thompson and may have been the father of her son. In recent years, DNA evidence linked the man to rare genetic markers that matched her child. Could this mean the mystery man had been silenced to protect a secret affair? During the 1940s, Australia was a hotspot for international espionage. The country was deeply involved in Cold War intelligence, and several unidentified men were found dead under similarly bizarre circumstances. Could the Somerton man have been a Soviet or British spy, eliminated to prevent classified information from leaking? After decades of dead ends, modern forensic scientists extracted DNA from the Somerton man's preserved hair. What they found was shocking. His genetic profile suggested a likely match to Carl Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne who vanished around the same time. But even if his identity is solved, the biggest question remains. Why was he killed? And who was behind it? Carl Webb's name brought new life to the decades-old mystery, but it only led to more questions. There were no known records of him having connections to espionage, criminal activity, or secret government work. In fact, Webb seemed like an ordinary man, a quiet engineer with a failing marriage. So why would he turn up dead, far from home, with his identity wiped clean? One key clue came from Webb's estranged wife. She had filed for divorce around the time of his disappearance, and he had seemingly vanished without a trace. Some theorists believe he may have been on the run from someone, perhaps due to gambling debts, a personal vendetta, or something even more sinister. If Webb was simply an unknown drifter who died under mysterious circumstances, how do we explain the cryptic Tamam Shud note, the untraceable poison, and the missing labels from his clothing? If he wasn't a spy, then why did investigators struggle to confirm even the most basic details of his life? While many believe Webb was poisoned, others argue that he may have taken his own life. Some experts suggest he could have been carrying the Rubaiyat as a personal message, hinting at a tragic farewell. But if this was a suicide, how did he manage to ingest a toxin that left no forensic trace? And why go to such great lengths to erase his identity? Even after the DNA discovery, the mystery refuses to die. Theories continue to swirl online, with some convinced that Webb was involved in espionage, and others believing he was an innocent man caught in something far bigger than himself. One last piece of the puzzle is the Rubaiyat itself. When police recovered the book containing the Somerton man's cryptic message, they realized something odd. The page where Tamam Shud was written had been torn out. This suggests that Webb didn't place it in his pocket himself. Someone else did. But who? Decades later, amateur sleuths and professional investigators still debate what really happened to the Somerton man. Some believe he was a victim of Cold War politics, eliminated before he could deliver classified information. Others suggest he was simply an unlucky drifter caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Despite recent breakthroughs, the case still lacks concrete answers. Why was Webb's body positioned so neatly on the beach? Why was he dressed so formally? And most importantly, if he was just an ordinary man, then why did the police, military, and intelligence agencies take such a keen interest in his case? The last piece of the puzzle remains unsolved. If Carl Webb was indeed the Somerton man, then who was Jo Thompson? Did she know him? Did she fear the truth coming out? And was she the key to unlocking the case all along? Even with DNA evidence identifying Carl Webb, we may never truly know the full story. Was he murdered, a fugitive, a spy, or just an ordinary man who met an extraordinary fate? The Somerton man mystery remains one of the most puzzling unsolved cases in history, leaving more questions than answers.